नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Radhe. Jaya Radha Ras Bihari, Radha Ras Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Ras Bihari, Radha Ras Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari Radhe. Jaya Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari Radhe. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami, Nayana Pathagami Bhavati. Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami, Nayana Pathagami Bhavati. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, गुरुदेव गुरुदेव। जय जय गुरुदेव 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 गुरुदेव। निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। बोलो हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीमुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Welcome everyone in Bhagavad Gita class. So we are at chapter number 13, verse number 17. Okay, so we'll recite the verses first, then we'll discuss, followed by Mangalacharan. 13.16. Bhairantasya bhutanam acharam charam eva cha sushmatvat tad vigyeyam durastham chantike cha tat. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving, because he is subtle and he is beyond the power of material sense, says to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. 13.17. Avibhaktam cha bhutesu vibhaktam eva cha sthitam bhuta bharti cha tajgeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. 13.18. Jyotisam api tajyotis tamasah param uchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. 13.19. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jnayam chokta samasanah madbhakta etad vigyaya madbhavam madbhavaya upapadyate. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. 13.20. Prakritim purusam chaiva vidhi anadi ubhavapi vikaram gunam shena chaiva vedhi prakriti sambhavam. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. 13.21. Karya karana kartritve hetuh prakritir uchyate purusah sukha dukkhanam bhoktritve hetur uchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyment in this world. 13.22. Purusha prakristho hi bhungte prakritijan gunam karanam guna sangosya sad asadayo nijanmashu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. 13.23. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapyokto dehesmin purusha param. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. 13.24. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gune sah sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo bhijayate. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. 13.25. ध्यान एनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिद् आत्मानम् आत्मनः अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. 13.26. अन्ये त्वा एवम् अजानन्तः श्रुतवान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातिर् तरन्तेव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. 13.27. Yavad sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra sanyogat tadvidhi paratarsabha. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and knower of the field. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sahajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Desatarini. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone in Bhagavad Gita class. So we are in chapter number 13, verse number 17. So we'll revise first what we have seen in verse number 16. Verse number 16. Bahirantasya bhutanam acharam charam eva cha sukshma sukshmatvat tad avigyeyam durastham chantike cha tat. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. So, in this sloka, Lord Krishna is saying that he is inside and outside of all living beings, non-moving or non-moving, anything. So, Krishna is present everywhere. Why Krishna is present everywhere? Because Krishna's body is subtle. Krishna's body is not material. So Krishna's body is material. Supersoul is Krishna's body is subtle. Krishna's every activity is transcendent, is beyond our understanding. It is not very easy to difficult to understand Krishna, and it is not too difficult also if to understand Krishna if you are a Bhakta, if you are a devotee. So you say super soul is all reconciling, is everywhere, spreaded across the universe. He is present inside as well as outside of the living and moving and non-moving. Supreme truth is outside and inside of all living beings. And reference is given Vedic literatures. Explains that Narayana is residing both outside and inside of every living entity, present in both the spiritual world and the material world. And he is far, far away, but also he is also near. So Krishna is present everywhere because he is subtle. He is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Material mind and senses cannot understand. Our vision, our body, our knowledge, our intelligence is insufficient to understand Krishna. Only possible if senses are purified by Krishna consciousness. One can see Krishna by the mercy of Krishna only. If Krishna gives mercy in the form of a spiritual guru, in the form of himself, sometimes he himself comes, he incarnates. He has incarnated in various incarnations in the past. So we have proof from our Vedic literatures. We can establish that Krishna is the only God. Krishna is the only supreme controller. Krishna is the only supreme proprietor. Krishna is full of opulences, all six opulences. No one is more strong, has strength than Krishna. No one is has more fame than Krishna. So in this way, Krishna possesses all six opulences. Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Gita, says 11.54, Bhaktyatva and Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita. So that Krishna described the knowable in text 13.16 as avigyeyam, unknowable, indicates that the super soul cannot be understood by the material senses. One thing sure. Only by hearing with devotion from transcendental sources can he be understood. So if you hear from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra about Krishna, then only you can understand Krishna. You have to do satsanga, sadhu sangha, association of devotees. performing bhakti, following 4 regulative principles and 16 mala, 16 beats every day. So that is what minimum qualification Prabhupada had said. You should follow 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds mala. Okay, so in this way, 13.16 says that super soul is all reconciling, spreaded across. He is everywhere. He is outside the body, inside the body of living as well as non-living. So it is the mercy of Krishna only that you can understand Krishna. If you are performing bhakti, if you are very humble, if you are very honest to your bhakti, your devotion, Krishna will send a spiritual guru to you who will instruct you how to purify yourself more and more by using some very, very practical methods. So Krishna is so merciful, you get guru because of Krishna only. So Balram ji is a form of guru. So Radha is a form of guru. Because if you want to get mercy of Krishna, you should get mercy of Radha first. You should get mercy of devotee first. You should get mercy of spiritual guru first. You should do sadhu sangha first. Because of sadhu sangha, without sadhu sangha, you can never achieve the success in bhakti. Yeah? That is all in 13.16, 13.17. Avibhaktam cha bhutesu vibhaktam eva cha esthitam bhuta bharti cha tajgeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. So Krishna is the supreme developer. He has developed everything, right from this universe to your body, mind, senses, intelligence. Everything is made by Krishna. It is the mercy of Krishna that we are here. We are talking about Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing Bhagavad Gita. We are listening Bhagavad Gita from our devotee sources. Okay, so Krishna is saying that super soul is undivided. Same super soul is in everyone's heart, maybe moving, non-moving, living, non-living entities. So Krishna is the source of all. So Krishna, in the form of super soul, resides in our heart. And he is spread across in each living entity, in everyone's heart, even in a small and smallest atom. Also, Krishna is residing in the form of atom. So it is very difficult to see Krishna. If you are a devotee, you have a divine vision, you can see Krishna everywhere, in every living and non-living entity. So in the picture you can see there are many living entities, including animal, woman, dog, cat, lion, tiger, so many species are there. Krishna resides in the heart of every species. So Krishna is so powerful. Krishna is so merciful that he is undivided. He is sitting in everyone's heart in the same manner. Similarly, means in spiritual world, 1 plus 1 equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. There is no 2 1 plus 1. Only 1 plus 1 is 1. Similarly, Krishna is undivided. He is living in everyone's heart At the same time, he is living in Golok Vrindavan Dham. At the same time, he is living in every living and non-living entity, in every atom. Let it be stone also. Then stone also Krishna sits. Because of Krishna, stone has got strength that it has become so hard to break it. So it is the Krishna's strength only. Once Krishna comes out of that object will be no more. Finished. Okay. So super soul is one. That is called undivided. Although super soul appears divided, but it is situated as one. How it appears divided? Because it is super soul is residing in everyone's heart separately. Body is separate. So soul is separate, and if super soul is residing with soul, it is also separate. But it is undivided. Krishna is explaining that super soul is undivided. And who is super soul? Krishna said, I am in the form of super soul residing in your heart. Although maintainer of all living entities, he devours and develops all. So Krishna is the supreme developer. So he develops, he maintains, he annihilates also, devours also. So Krishna is the supreme destroyer. Krishna is the supreme creator. So he manifests and unmanifests according to his will. If he wants to manifest, he will release the entire universe, which was residing in his body. And if he wants to take out everything, will unmanifest, and the entire universe will again enter into the body of Krishna. So Krishna is so merciful, Krishna is so powerful, Krishna is supreme controller. So Lord's presence in everyone's heart doesn't imply that he is divided. Example, analogy, sun, if at meridian, is in one place, but if you go 5,000 miles in all directions, everyone experiences the sun's presence on their head. So whenever is sun on top of your head, it will be always at top of your head. You go 5,000 miles in all the directions, sun will be same at the same position. Similarly, Krishna's position is undisturbed. It never changes. Vedic literatures say one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence. There is only one Vishnu, but he is present everywhere at the same time. He is in Golok Vrindavan Dham. And he is present in everyone's heart as in the form of super soul. Vedic literature say one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence. Okay, so Vedic hymns confirm him as the origin of all and rest of all. So Krishna is the creator, supreme creator, and Krishna is the supreme destroyer also. Similarly, Krishna is the origin of all, and Krishna is the rest of all also. So rest of all comes at the end, and origin of all time, all living, non-living, moving, non-moving. If Krishna is not present in a particular object, that particular object will be no more. Cannot imagine. Because of Krishna's presence in our heart, we can see, we can talk, we can hear, we can listen, we can dance, we can do anything. So why not use all these activities in the service of Krishna? So Krishna is so merciful that he loves his son. And he always gives positive instruction so that everyone can be liberated at the end of life. So this is the. So how is Supersoul all devouring? It is explained in chapter 11. I have come to devour all in the form of time. How Krishna devours? Because Krishna comes in the form of Kal Roop. Krishna is time and time is Kal. So when time comes, Krishna creates, and when time ends, Krishna devours. That's why Krishna is known as Supreme Creator and Supreme Destroyer also. So Krishna is the annihilator. 17. 18. So text number 18. ज्योतिषाम् अपि तज्ज्योतिष तमसः परम् उच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्ठितम्. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. So even sun gets light from Krishna. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge and he is situated in everyone's heart. So Supersoul is source of all knowledge and enlightenment. If you have a knowledge, Krishna is the source. You have a light, Krishna is the source. You have strength, Krishna is the source. So Krishna is the source of all. This is the meaning of source of all. It means whatever you have, source is with Krishna. If Krishna doesn't want to give, you cannot get from anywhere else. So whatever you have, it is the mercy of Krishna. The moment you start thinking like this, your life will be completely transformed. So he is situated in everyone's heart. Krishna is the super soul, source of light in all luminous objects. Super soul is the source of light of sun, moon, stars. Even stars get light from Krishna. It is the effulgence of Krishna. It is the effulgence which is coming out from the body of Krishna. Krishna has a form. If someone says Krishna doesn't have form, that is myth. That is wrong. Krishna has a form. Krishna has a body. But Krishna's body is transcendental and our body is not transcendental. It will be devoured at the end of life, at the end of universe. But Krishna's body will be as it is, always looking like 16-year boy. And his body is transcendental. His body is like a lotus. It's so soft like a lotus. Reference given in Vedic literatures. Spiritual kingdom has no need of sun or moon because the effulgence of the Lord is there. So wherever Krishna is there, effulgence from the body of Krishna comes out as in the form of light. So it is self-illuminated. Doesn't need any artificial light, any lighting, any tube light, any bulb, anything. Doesn't require. Material world, Brahma Jyoti is covered by Mahat Tattva. And therefore we need the sun, moon, etc. In material world, Brahma Jyoti is covered by Mahat Tattva. And therefore we need the sun, moon, etc. Super soul is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifest. super soul is unmanifested. It cannot be created and destroyed. Super soul is eternal. So Krishna is present as in the form of super soul in our heart. In Svetasvatar Upanishad 3.8, it is given Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. This establishes that the Supreme Lord is not in the material world, but far, far away beyond the darkness of the material world. He is knowledge, he is object of knowledge and goal of knowledge. So Krishna is the object of knowledge, Krishna is the goal of knowledge, and Krishna who is knowable. Okay, so he is knowledge, object of knowledge, and goal of knowledge. Reference Vedic literature say Brahman is concentrated transcendental knowledge. Brahman is concentrated transcendental knowledge. But Brahman means here we can say Para Brahman. So if you say we are Brahman, so Krishna is Para Brahman, above the Brahman. One can anxious to go to spiritual world. Knowledge is given by the Lord in the heart. So one should be in hurry. I want knowledge. I want to know about Krishna. So one's object of knowledge should be Krishna. One's knowledge should be about Krishna. One, in reference Vedic literatures, Svetasvatar Upanishad explains the goal of ultimate knowledge. Only by knowing him, one can surpass the boundaries of birth and death. If you know Krishna, you can surpass the boundary of birth and death. So, without this, there is no other alternative, no other option. And Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. But he is different from the soul. There are two knowers, soul and super soul. He has hands and legs everywhere. But Jiva's hands and legs are localized. You have a body, you have body parts. But Krishna's body is spread across the universe and universe. Reference Svetasvatar Upanishad says, Supreme Personality of God is Prabhu or Master of all living entities. And therefore, he is the shelter of all living entities. So Krishna is the origin of all and Krishna is the rest of all. So Krishna, where everyone resides, and Krishna, from where everyone is created. So manifestation and manifestation goes on. What are the characteristics of the super soul? Super soul as the object of knowledge. Everyone's object should be knowledge about Krishna. All pervading, his hands, legs, eyes, ears, heads and faces are everywhere. Wherever you want, you can see Krishna. But for that you need devotion. For that you need to perform bhakti. What is bhakti? Chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles. Okay, so 4 regulative principles. Number 1, no wine, no illicit sex, no gambling, and low meat eating, no slaughter. So original source of all senses, yet he is without sense, unattached. Although he is the maintainer of all living entities, he gives senses to everyone, but he is beyond the senses, unattached. although he is the maintainer of all living entities. So Krishna is the maintainer of all living entities, transcendental to the modes of material nature, although he is the master of all modes, all reconciling outside and inside of all living beings, subtle and beyond the perception of material senses. So Krishna is present in the form of subtle body. We cannot, and subtle body is beyond our senses. We cannot see, we cannot perceive. Our senses cannot perceive. Sources of all knowledge and enlightenment situated in our one's heart. Supersoul as the knower of felt, Kshetra, supernova, knower of all bodies, Supreme Proprietor and Controller, infallible and always superior to the spiritual soul, to the spirit soul. Supersoul as the Purusha, supreme enjoyer. So Supersoul is the Purusha. Purusha means he is the supreme enjoyer, mentioned in 13.20. Transcendental enjoyer, overseer and permitter. So Krishna can see whatever you do. Only Krishna, no one else. So Krishna is the best observer. So if you are doing wrong, Krishna instruct you, don't do it. If you are doing good, Krishna always pat you. Okay, so maintainer and real friend. Krishna is the supreme maintainer and Krishna is the supreme real friend. Okay, so text 90, next. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jnayam choktam samasatah madbhakta etad vigyaya madbhavaya upapadyate. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Thus attain to my nature. Qualification to understand Krishna is Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnana and Jneyam. Fully understood by devotees. Mother Bhakta. Kshetra means field of activities. Our body is field of activities. Kshetragya, knower of the field, soul and supersoul. Our soul and supersoul are knower of this body. Jneyam, object of knowledge. So Krishna is the Jneyam. Krishna is the object of knowledge. Jnana, knowledge and the process of acquiring knowledge. That is called Jnana. How to understand about Krishna is Jnana. You have so many material Jnana, but you don't know about Krishna, everything is waste of time. So what is the knowledge? Knowledge means understanding oneself in Krishna consciousness and realizing Krishna in everything. So you should love every living entity because Krishna is present in every body in the form of super soul, sitting, residing in our heart with soul, super soul and soul. The super soul and soul both are residing together in our heart. If soul and super soul are not there, that body is known as dead body. So knowledge is nothing but preliminary stage of understanding the devotional service perfectly. So what is knowledge? Understanding the devotional service. Vijnana, knower, knowable, and process of knowledge is called science of knowledge or Vijnana. Opinion of monist. At ultimate stage, the above mentioned three items become one, but the devotees do not agree to this. opinion of monists at ultimate stage. The above mentioned three items become one, but the devotees do not agree to this. Conclusion given in Bhagavad Gita 13.13 to 18. Explain the soul and super soul as the knowable, and super soul is the ultimate object to be known. So super soul is object of knowledge, and super soul is knowable, and Kshetra is our body, and Jnana means what? The process of acquiring Jnana about Krishna is Jnana. Knowledge about Krishna is Jnana. So this is 9. Then in Bhagavad Gita 13.20 to 26, Lord Krishna explains Prakriti, Purusha, and their use. 13.22-26. Krishna answers question 1 and 2. Prakriti, Purusha, and their union, from verse number 20 to 26. Verse number 20 to 22. Prakriti, Purusha, the Jiva, Kshetragya, and their union, material nature, causes all material changes and effects. And the living entity meets with good and bad according to the qualities that he has acquired due to his association with material nature. Verse number 23. Paramatma, Purusha, Kshetragya. The super soul exists within all bodies as the overseer. So, super soul is best overseer and permitter, and the Supreme Proprietor. What is the result? Given in verse number 24. One who understands Prakriti, Kshetra, Purusha, Kshetragya, and Kshetragya, Super Soul. Kshetragya, Jiva, Kshetragya, Super Soul. And their interactions attains liberation and doesn't take his birth again in the material. One who understands Prakriti, Purusha, and their union transcends from the birth and death cycle. Other methods of obtaining liberation are Jnana, Ashtanga, and Karma. Other methods of obtaining liberation are Jnana, Ashtanga, and Karma. Prakritim Purusam Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi Vikaram Shagunam Seva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavam. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Material nature and living entities are eternal. Discussion on material nature and the living entities. So what are the characteristics? Both living entity and material nature are eternal. They never come and go. They will be always there. Material nature is eternal, although specific manifestations of matter are temporary. But material nature is eternal. What are the three kinds of gunas of material nature? Are Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Living entity is eternal because of being Lord's superior energy. Because of the presence of super soul in our body, living entity is eternal. Our relationship with Krishna is also eternal. But after getting birth into this material world, we are not able to understand Krishna. We are not trying to understand Krishna. That's why this birth and death cycle continues. Differences. In material nature, there is a constant transformation, whereas the nature of living entity is non-changing. In material nature, there is constant transformation, whereas the nature of living entity is non-changing. Mystery of material creation. Material nature is absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and whenever required, it is manifested through Mahatat. So material nature is created by Vishnu, Mahatattva. The living entity also gets absorbed in Mahavishnu. And within the coming of the material nature, they are given a chance to prepare to go back to Godhead. So why the eternal living entity falls down to material world? Due to rebellious nature. It really does not matter how we came in contact with matter. The Supreme Lord knows how and why this took place. We are not trying to understand Krishna. We are not trying to understand why have we come into this material world. We have come in this material world to know about Krishna, to understand relationship with Krishna of the living entity. What does the Lord focus on in the scriptures? The living entity, attracted by the material nature, is undergoing a hard struggle for material existence. So once we come into this material world, we entangle into Maya. We are trying to lord it over on everything. We want to become God. We want to become Lord. We want to become rule over the world. So much attachment, so much asakti. All transformations and influences of material nature by three modes are productions of material nature. As far as spirit soul is concerned, living entities are all the same, and all transformations and varieties are due to the body. Okay, so material nature and living entities are both eternal. That's what told in this verse number 20. So we'll stop over here. Next time we'll start from 21. Any question you can ask? श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण।